Good morning, folks. You know, sometimes we like to do a little morning coffee intro. Well, I was woken up this morning by a text from my dad. He's already finished his day at the allotment. Just yesterday I said, in yesterday's video, I wanted today to be like the weekend of action. As you can hear, I've literally just woken up. It's nearly 11 o'clock. You know, I was saying it's a long week, energy levels are low. I clearly needed a lot of sleep. I was picking Jess up last night, so we didn't get in until around 2 a.m. But plan is, have this. Ignore the call of the sofa. And then hopefully get up and have a really good day. I've got to beat my dad. That's the thing now, we're in competition. Right, folks, we're here, eventually. I think it's about 12 o'clock. Just, you know, you get sidetracked, things come up, but I really just want to get stuck in. But first, just a quick thing about what I'm prioritising, and that is crops, that is growing. So there's lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of things I could be doing in terms of maintenance and tidying and keeping it looking nice, but I really want to focus today on, oh my God. Oh dear. I don't know what's happened. This did not look so bad a few days ago, but everything in here, despite the rain, apparently is in complete drought, but there's lots of pricking out, lots of growing to be doing, okay? So, oh, look at the greenhouse as well. Look, don't get sidetracked, JB, don't get sidetracked. Just, we want to focus on doing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is start ripping out things that need to come out and make some space in the bed so I can start to have a little quick think about where things are gonna go, and then a little bit of pricking out, potting on, and some sowing, all of that good stuff. But first as well, I have been sent something, a little treat. People have been telling me in the comments that I need a hat for absolutely ages. And Farmers Defence have sent me a hat, 100% compostable bag, always nice. This literally arrived this morning, and we're gonna try it on and see how it looks. This is one of those proper sun hats with, oh my God. I thought it would have a little brim. Look at that, it's got full everything. The other thing that Farmers Defence do is like farmers sleeves. They asked if I wanted any of those, but I'm not normally working in long grass or anything like that, so. I feel like one of those Instagram flower farmers with this. You can still see my face. But the first thing I want to do, just quickly come in here and basically get rid of all of these broad beans now. There was a lot of black fly on here. So there's still a few pods that are worth harvesting. So we're going to take those, although some of them are very black flied. But I have been so impressed with broad beans, actually. It's one of those things I thought, to be honest, doesn't sound particularly appealing. Wasn't expecting them to taste like much or really be very impressed, but actually they are wonderful. I've been having them just constantly. Oh, I'm already covered in black fly. Kind of gross, but yeah, these are definitely over. There is another successional row as well, and I'm just going to harvest all of those today. If there's 1 or 2 pods on, it's not the end of the world. I would actually, thinking out loud, I might leave that successional sowing, take a harvest, and then leave the rest so I can harvest the seed, and then I won't have to buy any more Sutton dwarf seed next year. Save a few pennies. With most things, I like to leave the roots in the ground, you know, kind of a principle from No Dig. Those roots just break down, provide nutrition, and it's less work, less soil disturbance and all that good stuff. I always think that's a nice idea. I do actually wonder if these have got some kind of disease, because they're so full of black fly, but there's a lot of kind of dieback. They're dying back in a lot of places. Could just be accumulated damage, or, you know, a lot of the pods. Look at this. It's not great. So, I'm not sure. Is that a kind of disease thing? Or what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Here's a quick question for you. What do you think the kind of ultimate skill for, like, the best gardener in the world is? I think for me, one of the things is that, you know, I'm like imagining if you are the best vegetable gardener in the world, I think one of the things would be that as soon as you take something out of a bed, you know immediately you've already got something started that's going to go in straight away. I've got a few things, but I'm not quite at that point, and I'm not trying to say that I'm the best gardener ever. Can you imagine me trying to say that? No. I just mean, I think that is a really good thing to aim for. If you want to improve, like, your gardening skill, I think that is probably one of the things that you want to prioritise, because I don't really have anything to follow, and there's going to be loads of gaps that I'm making. But I've just cleared this bed, and honestly, I've always think that this is probably not a good sign, but it's one of the bits of gardening I enjoy the most. I absolutely love ripping stuff out when it's done and you get this kind of blank slate. It's surprising actually how much soil there is on show compared to the mulch, but pretty weed free. I've just had to give it a really quick hand weed. And one thing I did want to point out, loads of ladybirds, and this is all the black fly. You can see it on here. But a little while ago, I posted a little Instagram picture showing these little kind of, this is parasitic wasps doing their business. So those kind of grey, creamy blobs, it's kind of gross, but they're what we call aphid mummies. And basically the parasitic wasps come along and they lay their eggs inside the aphids, and then they hatch out, and that's what they look like afterwards. They're kind of like these husks of aphids, so it's a really good sign that you've got some natural pest control in place. And it's one of the things we want to encourage in the gardens, along with ladybirds and hoverfly larvae, just to keep those populations down. I know some people have wondered how the compost is doing, and I've not really been delving. I've not done too much forking around or mixing. I've turned this a couple of times towards the start, and generally speaking, this kind of black matting is holding pretty well. Relatively happy with how it's gone. The thing that is, it's just like sinking like crazy. This was up to the top. It's been up to the top a few times, mostly when I've done grass clippings, and you know, it's sunk down again. It's only about kind of, I don't know, maybe 70% full now. So all this is going on. I've just kind of been trying to keep mindful, the odd bit of cardboard in here, but it has also been really dry. So I've reduced the amount of brown in here a little bit. And what I found last year was I'd actually put way too much brown in. So it's kind of like been a cycle of too much green, correct with too much brown, too much green, correct with too much brown. But I think it's better to have too much brown than it is to have too much green, because too much green you turn into just, it turns into a sloppy, goopy, slimy mess that you can't really use. In goal for today will be lots of harvests. There's loads of Kalima beans to take. Oh, look at this. Little bee just in the calendula, chasing him around, trying to get him on camera. He's too fast for me. Oh, there he is. Oh, what a sight, what a sight. It just brings a smile to your face. Lots of Kalima beans to harvest, some beetroot. I want to take some more potatoes. And unfortunately, a lot of the lettuce is starting to bolt. But just yesterday, I noticed this beetroot was sown much later than some of my other smaller beetroot. But what? There's a few monsters in here. Look at that. That is a big one. So I might pull a whole row of these, we'll see. We'll just take the big ones, because so far, having the small ones just roasted is, absolutely delicious. I wasn't sure about beetroot, but this year I've come around. It's so tasty if you get it at the right size. What's to come out next? Maybe the peas. Let's do the peas. Actually, I said let's do the peas, but I'm going to leave these in a little while longer just to dry off. I've been, to be honest, slightly disappointed with these. They got off to a really good start. I think they suffered from a lack of water. They just didn't give that many pods. They got to a good height. These are only covered in under, so they're kind of dwarfing. I do next year really want to do some proper full-size things for both the fine green beans and the peas as well, because it does look like those taller varieties give you much more produce and more of a successional harvest as well. There's maybe, I don't know, a very small handful of pods left on here. I'm just going to leave them, and then hopefully I won't need to buy any more peas next year. Still nice to have a few, but a very small pea harvest all round. So we've made a little bit of space, and I've come over to the I think Tony would call this the shit show, wouldn't he? It's just shocking. Some of this lettuce might actually bounce back. It's really wilted, but you would be surprised what I've seen lettuce bounce back from. Unfortunately, I've noticed my spare kind of basil, that's gone. I really don't know how this happened. This really caught me out. A bit of a whoops, but never mind. It's not the end of the world, is it? You can always sow more. There are a few cucumbers in there in the smallest pot ever. There's actually 3 plants, so I think I might just stick those out in the ground somewhere. In fact, yes, let's get that out where I've just taken the broad beans out. The reason that I'm not too fussed about most of this, the strawberries are a bit of an issue, but most of this is just spares. So a lot of this kind of salad and stuff is just, there's loads of celeriac, some extra kale, stuff that, some extra purple sprouting broccoli. I've got loads and loads of this out, so these really are just spares. I was kind of keeping it around just in case. And, the rocket has gone to seed. That is a bit of a shame. So there's a few mishaps, but no drama, no drama. I can just grab my trusty potting bucket. And there's quite a lot of space here, actually. You can't see my head. That's better. There's quite a lot of space here, so I think what I'll do is just a row of cucumbers, and then there's another bit of space for something else. Well, quite a lot of space actually, so I'm just going to get the bulb planter. What I like to do is scrape off the mulch, put that to one side, and then I like to have another receptacle just for the soil. And this is a little bit extra, you probably don't have to do it, but it just, I think, helps to keep it nice and weed free. And these cucumbers are, I think, well, what's this one actually? I should check. Oh, I didn't think to check. This one is Masterpiece, so I'm going to quickly Google if you can grow them outside or not. Masterpiece are actually the long ones. They might be a greenhouse cucumber. This British bred variety is an outdoor climber that will need support. Oh, I love it. Love it when a plan comes together. As if this was planned. Oh dear me. But I love that. That's really good news. I think the main ones I've got in the greenhouse this year are Honey Plus. And there must be a few Market More dotted around as well. I do like Market More. They're one I've grown many times successfully. They are really quite dry. I'm really surprised with the rain we've had. And everything in that seedling nursery has got kind of trays underneath it to capture as much water as possible. This Masterpiece, I actually wrote the date on. I never do that. Look at that, 1405. Unbelievable. So this is going to do an awful lot of damage. There is no delicate way to do this when you've got something that is so root bound. I'm just going to have to tear the roots apart. When it's not like this, the method I prefer is just dropping them and letting kind of gravity do its work. But just going to pop that in. I think cucumbers are the ones that you need to be careful of and not plant the stem too deep because the stem will rot. And we've got a nice bit of compost, a little bit of feed in here, just a really nice potting mix I just leave in the bucket. Job done. Put it in, water it, give it some support. Now I think, if I remember correctly, I actually grew outdoor cucumbers in this exact bed my first year I ever had the allotment. I remember we had a flipping amazing courgette in here as well. Courgettes have been really slow for me this year. It's one of the things I'm walking around seeing everyone else is going, oh, we had to buy some from the supermarket the other day. Absolutely ridiculous. We should be drowning in them. Should be complaining that there's too many. I just use a super simple structure. And I do go quite close. You know, with tomatoes and things, you want to generally leave quite a lot of space in your structures. But with cucumbers, I go quite close because I want to be able to train them. Basically, if you string these together, you can just create, you don't need to go, these canes are, hello, these canes are too long really as well. But what I've just bought, I think they're 5 foot. So yeah, you just go around them with a bit of twine or whatever your preferred material is. I do always leave a link to this twine because it's the best I've ever used. Steve Greenside's Up recommendation, really strong stuff. And so far it's done really well throughout the season, even the ones outdoors, although we've not had too much rain yet. But yeah, I do rate it. And with something like this, which is a bit of a Hail Mary, I'm not expecting too much from these cucumbers, to be honest. I'll be impressed if any of them survive. We just start the twine. I don't like to go all the way up because then if the plant dies, you're like, oh, you used all that twine for nothing. What I do quite like to do with these is you use the thin end first because that can drive through the soil a bit easier, and then you spin it around and you can put the thicker end in. You should ideally probably be wearing gloves if you're working with bamboo as well, because the splinters can be really nasty. But, you know, do as I say, not as I do. And that's just enough to get this thing started. As this grows, you kind of trail it around the twine and it goes around the outside of the structure. And generally that makes it quite easy to find any pests or cucumbers. There we go, they're in. Whether or not they become miracle masterpieces remains to be seen, but I'm hopeful, and I think I'm going to put some more lettuce in here. This has to be my favourite bed this year. I've mentioned this a few times, but we just have such a variety. There's fennel, there's carrots, marigolds going absolutely great guns. Got some big boofy ones and some calendula too, little insect on there. Some tomatoes, some broad beans, some feverfew, some beetroot, some, what else have we got? Borage, couldn't remember the name. Borage and the verbena. Just a real kind of example of polyculture, actually, and a bit of an accidental one. You can see the broad beans in there, but everything in here is done absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, look, this saladin, no, it's not saladin, I think it's Webb's Wonderful, it's just started to bolt. I'm going to take that today. But yeah, Denny on our Potty Mouth Discord did a little video up the potting shed on YouTube. She did a nice little video on polyculture gardening, and oh, look at this. Oh, it's far too windy. trying to get a shot of this marble white, really nice butterfly, another one that was on my Instagram recently. These ones are friend, not foe. They're not one of the cabbage whites. They won't eat your brassicas. Really nice, quite uncommon actually, well, relatively speaking. There it is. Really, really pretty butterflies. Verbena is a real favourite for a lot of insects, butterflies included. But yeah, I'll link her channel and the video that she did on polyculture. A quick word as well. I mentioned Denny is a regular on the Potty Mouth Discord channel, which is still open, it's still active, and we are hoping at some point to get the Potty Mouth lives back online. But there's a few things going on with, you know, just in the background that we can't really go into. But we are still hoping that we'll resume them at some point, but they are just on pause for now. Tell you what, that bed just, it really does put a smile on my face. You know, I've just spent a little while just watching the insects, enjoying the flowers. Today is a good day, folks, let me tell you that. It's such a tonic as well, you know, after yesterday just feeling really tired and having a great time coming up. Today is just like, when you got some time and you're really just getting stuck into it. Speaking of getting stuck in, let's quickly sort through this and decide what we're keeping and getting rid of. This one, spaghetti squash, keep. There's a honeysuckle here that my mum has lent me, keep that one. Strawberries, we're going to revive those. These strawberries too. Bin, I think, well, maybe, actually, yeah, they bolted as well. Bin, I might try and rescue that lettuce. Oh, JB. Oh, spring onions or leeks? Oh, I can't remember. Oh, whoops. I took the label out when I planted half of those. I think they're leeks. Well, no, that's bolting too. Bin, celeriac, bin, celeriac, bin. You know, I did like a whole tray of celeriac. Or maybe even only half a tray, but I don't even think I'm gonna like it that much. So we'll see. That's all for the bin. This Amara kale. This one's a bit of a shame. I was excited about this one, but that one bolted so long ago. That one's for the bin. These ones for the bin. Spare purple sprouting broccoli, just in case the other ones I planted didn't take, but they are looking really, really good. A little bit of rain, I think, has done a cabbage's world of good. There's some proper big leaves on here now. They're gonna start competing. I think this looks like it might be a greyhound pointed cabbage, actually. We'll see. Don't get sidetracked, we're over here. So keep. Oh, some of that lettuce seed didn't take. That's fine, that's to brick on. Strawberries, we'll keep those as well. Look at this. I think this is a sorrel, isn't it? It's got explosive leaves. I remember really vividly when we were in a GCSE science lesson, and the teacher said that one of the methods of plant reproduction was exploding. And I thought it was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. I was like, what are you talking about? And now, I'm living with it, I'm dealing with it. These explosive, bloody seeds get everywhere. So, we're keeping those, aren't we? Let's get those, yeah. Those aubergines look really dry, but they do look quite comfortable outside. They're still surviving. So keep this lot, bin this lot. We're gonna get this sorted. That's today's goal, today's aim. Some nice strawberries in the trough over here. Most of these strawberries are just ones that I've dug up and rescued from elsewhere. I do like to just try and break up the compost a little bit, just so you don't have these giant lumps. Don't have to be too precious about it, but I do find when I'm going through and turning the compost, it is apparent when you find a big old block of used spent compost. Wow, it's windy. Oh my God. Look at this basil. No wonder it's bolting. Just enjoying the sight of this cabbage white. You can't get it. You're not allowed. Leave my brassicas alone. Go, be gone. Right, we are making some progress. I mean, it still looks like an absolute bomb site over here, but I've had a little bit of a tidy in, just got these two out. And it's time to start pricking out the lettuce. And unfortunately, I think I'm gonna just have to sit on the floor and do this. There isn't really, I've lost all of my potting space, but there are some plans afoot that involve, amongst some other things, space for a new potting area. Something that I've only mentioned on the Patreon, so if you do want to have a look at some of the behind the scenes stuff on Patreon, the link is below. An extra special thank you to all my patrons. They help so much just keeping the lights on, because on months like this where I've had loads of hay fever, it's been difficult to make videos. You can see I'm trying to make up with that. I'm trying to keep up with Tony, getting the videos out as much as I possibly can. I just absolutely love it. But an extra special thank you too to all my Chili Pepper tier patrons: Tony, Bill, Pam, Louise, Michael, Mel, Denise and Craig. Let's carry on. I'm going to get this stuff pricked out. I feel like it might take quite a long time. What have we got? Oh no. Oh, I wasn't expecting this. My dad's labels, unfortunately, no longer have any text on. So we've got some mystery lettuce, but that's part of the fun, isn't it? Mystery plants. I wasn't really sure how to tackle this, to be honest. It's just so many seeds in these trays. We've got 3 or 4 different types. So I've done 3 types in here. And to be honest, I might just give the rest back to my dad. He's got his own plot now. If you missed that last video that I did, I'll link that, because it's so good. My parents have just got a new allotment. So I'm just going to water these in. There is so much lettuce already in the ground. We've got some good successions going. A little bit of cut and come again as well. So this is the one thing I feel like I'm pretty on top of, and my dad sowed these for me as well. I can't take credit. So the rest of these kind of clumps, there's so many, these can go back in the tray with a bit of fresh compost, which will keep them alive a lot longer, and my parents can have loads of salad as well. We've got this one, which is a loose leaf mix. It comes in the packet as a mix, and I think what I'm going to do is just stick these in the ground like this. They're meant to grow together in a mix, and then you just cut the whole lot. So that's what I'm going to do with those. And this tray, hopefully, is going to do quite well. One of these small ones are the ones that have all been eaten by slugs. So I'm guessing that means they're the tastiest. But we just kind of got to, I don't want to put these in the greenhouse because they'll be too warm for lettuce. So we're just going to see how they do outside. I think this is a long one, folks. I must say, first impressions of this hat, I'm quite impressed. It really does offer a lot of shade. You know, you can barely see my face in a lot of these shots, and it's one of those days that I'm really glad I brought it up, because it's kind of deceptive. You know, one second it's really cold and windy, and the next the sun is shining. So it's the sort of day where you do not kind of put sunscreen on or anything like that. So quite impressed with it. It's quite warm as well, and it feels quite breathable and nice. So I will leave a link in the description. But now it's harvest/rip out time. I always like to leave harvesting till last, because that way you know that the stuff is really fresh. Unfortunately, I have to walk home today, so it's all going in the trug, and then I've got to walk it home. So it's not going to be super fresh, but there's a lot to do. First, I think I'm going to pull out a lot of the bolted lettuce. Let's do that. There's some here. This is actually spinach. This lettuce, oh, that looks really good. Oh, that's a good one for harvesting. That one's kind of hidden. Hadn't seen that. But this spinach, that's gone. Not a good year for my spinach. I think I just sowed it too late. The stuff I sowed early just didn't get going. That stuff looks like it's going to be okay. There's some of the lettuce I just planted out. This lettuce patch is looking quite good, but yeah, I really did plant this very dense because I thought most of it was going to just go. There's one here that's bolted, and instead of ripping it out, what I'm going to do, get the secateurs, cut it and leave the roots in. I'm slowly trying to move to no-dig, and I really like some of the no-dig principles. Look at this, can you see this? Yeah, there's some mint here that's come up, absolutely out of nowhere. Oh, I think that's actually like a lemon balm, not mint, so hopefully not quite as invasive, but that's quite nice, might leave that. Not too sure what's happened to this one. What's going on over here? I think there might just be a lot of competition. There's some spring onions, beetroot. I think something's been nibbling it. I don't know if it's slugs. It has been a fantastic year because of the dryness. There's just not been too much slug damage. I think this might be pigeons. They seem to really like this one. So that one's ready to come up. That one's ready to come up. There's one over there, the massive one that's bolted. I think the ones that look like they're about to go, I'm just going to harvest and probably give away. There's another one over here that's bolted. This is fantastic. These are all volunteers. So if you can, I do recommend letting your lettuce go to seed. I think there's another one there, that one. That has to be harvested today. Tomorrow that will be bolting. It will look like this one. So I'm going to get those out as well. We're going to have a lot of lettuce. And to be fair, if you get it in the fridge in sealed plastic bags, it's so windy, get it in the fridge in sealed plastic bags, it does really, it lasts for quite a long time, you know. It's still just super nice and fresh a week on. It doesn't normally last much longer than that in our fridge, but yeah. So I think harvesting a few is the right thing to do. Here's a real shame about this one. I just left it ever so slightly too long because it was my prize lettuce, and oh my god, the stem is gigantic. I just don't think you should be shy when it comes to harvesting your lettuce. If it's starting to look good, take it. Don't leave it too long. It's better to have it early than too late. Absolutely huge. I'm gonna taste one of the slightly inner leaves and just see if it's gone completely bitter. It's not bitter. This, I think, is Webb's Wonderful, and it is a really sweet tasting iceberg lettuce. Seems to have really got around a lot this year, Webb's Wonderful. Seen it a lot of places, and I can see why. I'm really glad that that is still tasty. I wish I was recording just now. These Kalima beans, honestly, one of the best things I've ever grown. They don't seem to have any pest problems either, and they're so nice. Just straight off the plant, they are so sweet. I might even do a full video on these because they are just so special. And I was just here harvesting away, and a few butterflies have just been landing on the calendula, and I swear to God, I just did, I think, like one of the biggest smiles of my entire life. Just like, you know, one of those moments of just pure contentment and bliss. Is there anything better, you know, than enjoying your harvest and enjoying being outdoors at the same time? It's days like today where really the allotment just feels all just so right, you know. Look at that. Oh, this stuff is just so good. Probably not quite enough there that just need preserving, but as if that wasn't good enough, the really good news is that this year I have nailed the succession. So these ones are the ones that are cropping just here over on the left. They were sown really early in the greenhouse, and then this lot were direct sown in the ground a month or so later, and they're just now starting to flower up, which is just perfect. So not only have we got that to look forward to, there's still plenty on here that are going to fatten up. And, you know, little baby ones at the way. Yes, I completely nailed this. It tastes amazing. So I was so pleased. Yes. I was just on my way to the final harvest of the day, just past the sweet peas there, the potatoes, and I've just seen that the first blackberry / some other berry might be ready for picking. Had a few kind of guesses about what these are. I thought it was a thornless blackberry cultivar, but this year in particular, you can see the shape. They're just very long, and they are so sweet too. I'm hoping this one's ripe. A little bit tart, not quite there, but still absolutely delicious. So if you've got any ideas, I thought it was just a thornless blackberry cultivar. It was here when I took on the plot 4 years ago, but very nice. On to the potatoes. A few of you thought the bad potato crops might have been as a result of some kind of virus. And I did a little bit of looking on the potato viral databases and that kind of thing. And you can see this is kind of completely died now, actually, so you can't really see the symptoms. There's one over here. If there's anything it looks like from my research, it's early blight. But the fact that it's only on some of the lines, and then, for example, the King Edwards behind looking pretty fantastic. Maybe King Edwards is resistant to early blight. I'm not sure. There's a little bit of yellowing down here, that looks natural. Very small, I mean very small compared to my normal potato crops are just huge. That could just be the soil. And then I think there's more red dukes over here, which once again, no sign of disease or anything, just really poor growth, to be honest. But there's still actually some good eating here. The ones that I did pull up, the second lot, were really good. So I'm gonna just take out the rest of these and we'll have some more eating, hopefully. Well, you know what, it could be a lot worse. I was never actually, I was never actually that big a fan of first earlies and the Charlottes. I never really grew them very much, and this year they've come through for me and they are absolutely delicious. So I I've changed my mind slightly on Charlotte's. Just before I show you the final harvest, I've done a bit of work in this little salad patch and given all of this stuff a lot more room to breathe and a bit less room for the slugs and snails to hide as well. There's all of this. Some of it is kind of loose leaf, cut and come again, and some of it is a few heads. So I'm gonna be going around the plot now going, who wants salad? Come and get some lettuce. Just passing it out to everyone, and I'm sure it will go. But the final harvest, just a really, really nice little harvest to be taking home. Some of these mixed potatoes, the green beans, some big old broccoli. Broccoli? That's not broccoli, beetroot. Right letter. I think if you cut that small enough and roast it for long enough, it's still pretty good. And two just flipping gigantic lettuces. Two kind of butterhead and an iceberg. And this is a little bit of that French sorrel, which is really, really delicious. And down here, there's another spare. That one I've picked out for my parents. Pretty much the perfect day on the plot. Got some new things kind of pricked out. I haven't sown anything today, but I'm hoping to do that tomorrow, as well as hooking up the auto pots. That's kind of my big jobs for tomorrow. So if you watched this whole thing, thank you ever so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again in the next one.